Hello, I'm Marianne Ruys, working for Fluidtech Team Europe, and I would like to introduce Jonathan Venditti, Marketing Manager, Chemical Industry at Kluber Lubrication Munchen. He will be helping us figure out optimal efficiency and maximum reliability through specialty lubricants. So there you go, Jonathan. Good luck. And if there are any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll find some time at the end of the session to answer them. Thank you. There you go, Jonathan.
Hello, thank you very much. Welcome on board this session. My name is Jonathan Venditti. I'm a chemist and responsible for the chemical industry at Kluber Lubrication. I don't know if you can see the screen. So, to do a small introduction about Kluber Lubrication, a larger group called Freudenberg, and we are part of the Freudenberg Chemical Specialties. So among the other brand of chemical specialties, we find, of course, like we have Kluber, which is in specialty lubricant business. We have OKS, our sister company, doing high performance lubricant. We have Chemtrend, specialty release agent, mold release agent, shirt, those surface technology, and Capol, who's doing coating on chocolate and candies. So about Kluber, we're about over 2,500 employee. We have 14 production production facility across the world, and we have a portfolio of product over 2,000 specialty lubricant, going from oil, grease, paste, bonded coating, wax, corrosion protector, and metalworking lubricant. Ambition, we are recently we got the EcoVadis Gold medal. There's 6% of the company. It's around 90,000 subscribed to EcoVadis certification, and this is really because we are working on our footprint, and on the other side, we try to maximize our handprint on our customer, helping them to reduce their impact or footprint on the environment. So our ambition is to improve ourselves constantly and support our customer targets. So the impact of lubrication, I'm responsible for the chemical industry, and I realize that we are a chemical company itself. So we are part of the Freudenberg. There's a concept that was raised in 1990 by Paul in chemistry. He made the people realize that everything that surrounds us is basically coming from the chemical industry. So if we talk about rubber, plastic, every polymer comes from chemical industry. So we're kind of dependent. So he came with a concept called the green chemistry, including 12 principles that lubrication can directly impact 6 of all. For example, safer solvent and auxiliary design special lubricant that are inert, their inertness regarding aggressive media, or for example, cryogenic service where standard grease could cause fire, explosion. Then we work on safety as well. On the design for energy efficiency. So you will see in this presentation that a lot of application oil have high potential for energy saving if they're switched to a specialty or synthetic lubricant. Designed for degradation, so using EAL, we call it environment acceptable lubricant, also known as biodegradable. People think that these products are not as performant that the conventional product, and it's completely wrong. The biodegradable product right now and fully synthetic based on ester, really high performance base oil. Real-time analysis and pollution prevention. We have now we are in the era of digitalization. So sensor, for example, to avoid leaks, and so also to live oil condition monitoring to make sure that our customer can troubleshoot and raise a flag as soon as they see an issue. Machine are like um, human being, and they're our blood. So when we don't feel good, we go to the doctor and we do blood analysis. Same thing for the machinery. So it's really important to work on digitalization and oil condition monitoring, and of course safer accident prevention. So in the chemical industry, we also find a lot of hazardous area, dangerous, where there could be toxic vapors, a lot of heat, risk of explosion. So we have now automatic lubrication are taking the risk instead of the mechanic. And of course, the most important, so by using synthetic that has a much longer service life, then you will definitely reduce the waste generation. So that's also good for reducing footprint on the environment. So Kluber has its own sustainability metrics. So what we can influence internally, like raw material selection. We try to to buy most of local to avoid any long transportation. We try to develop new product based on renewable raw material, and on our end print, then we definitely try to influence things at the customer side to push biodegradable by reduce the consumption of emission of greenhouse gas. So if we consider the automotive industry, we really ago the automotive start to do a big switch, and most of the OEM, they don't even provide the car out of the dealership with mineral oil. No car is using mineral oil anymore because of the legislation, and the emission standard are too severe, and they need to have synthetic oil in order to respect the strict standard for emission. So that's why most of the car right now are running 0W20 or 5W20, which are really, really light oil, but because of their high viscosity and their synthetic formulation, they keep the viscosity at high temperature, for example, through traffic. So you have the fluidity, you have the pumpability at cold or during startup, but you also benefit of higher performance, and also the oil interval. Before we were talking about 5,000, 7,000 kilometer, and now some car are recommending 40,000 kilometer. So it's definitely good for the environment. There's less oil change. So nowadays, why the industrial sector is still using a lot of mineral oil? So that's the question we should ask. The synthetic oil, as you can see in this slide, you see that synthetic oil has a much more homogeneous, all the molecule are. So that's why most of the time they have they have better coefficient of friction, and the mineral oil have a lot more impurities of molecule. The molecule length are also quite random. So that is also the reason why they oxidate. The oxidation rate will be much faster on the mineral oil. So there's also not only about the base oil that we use. At Kluber, we different type of synthetic base oil, but it's also about the additive. The additive package is also extremely important in the chemical industry, even more, because sometimes the lubricant can interfere with the gas stream, for example, if it's a gas compressor, or attack the downstream catalysis. So we also have at Kluber Lubrication, we have over 120 test rigs just in Munich. We have other tribology department and R&D around the world in our 14 production facility. And we do a lot of research about science of friction and different additive package. So we also try to avoid at any cost to use some PIB, like polyisobutylene. These are polymer which allow you to start with a really low viscosity oil and crank up the viscosity to the desired viscosity. So if you can start with a light oil, like hydraulic oil, and really push to ISO 320, and it will still called data sheet, but those PIB, those polymer, which are viscosity improver, they will degrade quite fast in the application. They will shear mechanically and thermally, and that's why you will lose in efficiency over time. We also have a lot of people using long chain fatty acid. So they're called friction modifier. They can replace extreme pressure or anti-wear, but they never have the same performance and the stability over time. So here's an explanation about the gap of the performance versus synthetic. So at the right beginning, you have a difference in the performance about 2%, just because of the better viscosity index, which allow you to have more fluidity, more flow at higher viscosity at the operating temp. But also it's the coefficient of friction. None of the synthetic oil, for example, have the same coefficient of friction. For example, the PAG, polyalkyl glycol, have by far the best coefficient of friction among the synthetic oil. But over time, the mineral oil and the synthetic oil is getting larger. So the depletion of the addition of the base oil is much faster compared to synthetic oil. So if then you will see that normal synthetic oil will be at least 3 times service life. So every time you change the oil, so you use more quantity, of course, the mineral oil is cheaper, but you also can see quite faster with the mineral extend to almost 6%. So that's why we say that the average gap is 4%. And this is why when we prove at the customer, we are doing energy monitoring, and we get most of the application like gearbox, compressor, hydraulic system. We see that we are in average around 4 to 5%. So application I just mentioned are really good potential for improvement if they run with mineral oil. Compressor, gearbox, and system, and even pumps can. So our goal is to reduce the total cost of ownership of our customer, bring energy saving, proven. We can monitor that with our Kluber Energy program, reduce carbon footprint, and of course, we never want to jeopardize the reliability of the equipment. When we bring energy efficiency, we drop the operating temp on the lubricant. It means there less contact, metal to metal contact, and that's why by improving lubrication, you also. So our offer is Kluber Energy and Kluber Energy. Of course, this is including energy consulting. Then we do energy measurement, and then energy analysis, and then reporting, all according to the ISO standard. So basically, we establish the baseline with the mineral oil running in there. Then we do the retrofit. Sometime with oil analysis, it's really important. We see if there's varnish in the equipment, if it's dirty, because most likely people using mineral oil, they push them to the extreme limit, causing sludge, varnish, carbon deposit in the equipment, and that is affecting the efficiency. So if we see that there was this issue with this equipment, then we have a product to clean the equipment in operation before the switch over to the synthetic. So after we do the switch over to the synthetic, we still monitor all the parameter, and we compare what was before. Extremely important to monitor the right value when you do an energy efficiency project, since we can not monitor energy saving on a process so that's why when we take the measurement at the motor, and also we need to monitor the process. If there's a control room, important to know about the production rate, for example, tons per hour, the estimate load, the material size and hardness. Like, for example, if it's in a mine, then if a crusher, depending on the place that the ore comes from the mine, it could also influence the energy consumption, right? So, of course, the temperature, the ambient temperature, the temperature of the component, and the temperature of the oil, and also the oil level. So all these are influencing our energy efficiency project. So, for example, if we talk about some success story we have, for example, in the chemical industry, a lot of chemical companies to cool down the process, cool down a lot of processed water. In case we replace normal extreme pressure mineral oil. The power was 56 kilowatt per gearbox. And we changed it for a Kluber GH6320, which is a polyalkyl glycol. Of course, the polyalkyl glycol, we need to make sure that there's no paint, or if there's a paint inside the gearbox, it must be like a two-component paint, like epoxy. We need also to certify the seals compatibility. Depending on the synthetic gear oil, we need also is compatible. But glad that we are owned by the Freudenberg Group, because Freudenberg core business is a sealing technology. So Freudenberg Sealing Technology, our parent company, definitely helping us in that regard, because we develop a called Lubin Seal. It's a program that we certify, and all our products are tested with various elastomer. So in that case, the result was 4.9% energy saving. So this in cooling tower, the process is quite steady, always the same speed, always the same load. And this is why we have one of this application is one of our most successful in the energy saving program. So that was translating in 39,000 cost saving per year on the electricity side. This payback, even if the PAG, the polyalkyl glycol, was much higher in price, well, the payback in this time was only 3 months. And the drain interval went from 12 to 60 months. And this is not even include in the payback 3 time, because at this time, we never had clue how long the production. So the 60 months are an extra saving, and also better for the waste generation at that site. Another application, Banbury mixer in the tire industry, are extremely severe applications. So at that facility, 22 three-stage gearbox, the oil sum was between 600, depending on the size of the gearbox, to 1,300. It was mostly Banbury mixer and rubber extruder. So they were all connected to a 2.5 megawatt motor, each of them. And the application is 24/7, 360 days per year. They really barely have shutdown at that facility. So that saving, it was with one of our PAO base oil, Kluber Gem 4, and the result was 2.85. But on such large equipment, this small percentage represent 320,000 euro per year. So the drain interval went from 2 years to every 4 years, so 10,000 liter less oil, wasted oil per year. So, and we replicate that in many, many tire plants. Another application is the air compressor. So not all the air compressor are suitable for an piston reciprocating compressor are not a good candidate for that, because of their conception, their operating mode. It's not a good application. But on the other hand, and centrifugal compressor are excellent. They run with mineral oil to generate interesting saving. So in that compressor, 75 kilowatt liter of volume. So we switched to a PAO and mix of ester Kluber Summit SH46. The energy saving was 3.4%, and the interval service interval they could double. So that was a total reduction of 46 megawatt hour and 11,690 kilogram of CO2 emission yearly. The total saving per year, 6,258, and the payback time was less than 2 months. So another business case, as I told you, some equipment running with mineral are dirty. So you can only notice that once you analysis or you look at the sun, like a small camera or flashlight. And we developed a product called Varnasolve. And if we specialty lubricant, we see that it's dirty, we usually recommend the Varnasolve. So we drain 10%, 15% of the oil in place, replaced by the same quantity of Varnasolve, run between 1 day to sometimes 5 days, depending on how dirty the equipment is. Then we flush, completely clean and ready to be filled with the high performance specialty lubricant. So I always face this question where people ask me, say, well, synthetics are synthetic, right? So I already have a supplier, why I would go with you guys? And the reason is that synthetics are not synthetic. Basically, there's a lot out there, and this is just hypothetical scenario, but a lot of company, in order to bring the cost down of their recipe, like large oil company, they are producing the mineral base oil by producing diesel. So they end up with a lot of mineral oil. What they do in their synthetic formula to cut with some of the mineral to bring the cost down. And some are also starting with low viscosity because the synthetic base oil, most likely the PAO, the MPAOs, the PAGs, they are more expensive than the mineral oil. But as soon as you increase the viscosity and you want higher viscosity base oil, it's exponential. So when you do a gear oil to start, for example, if you want a 320 gear oil, to start with like a pure PAO at 320 will be much more by a PAO around 100 centistoke, and then had polyisobutylene, those viscosity improver. So on the technical data sheet, you can not even notice that. EIB would have most of the time a better viscosity index and more better stat, but what you don't see is their degradation over time and their oxidation and the performance, the stability over time. So definitely testing is extremely important. So in summary, Kluber Energy fit. So we start with a loop survey. We identify those applications that are suitable for the project, and then we are working hand on hand with the customer to make sure that we have all the oil monitoring, and we do estimate, we have calculation, we have so much experience, we have over 350 successful case on different types of equipment. So most likely we some number for example, Engel, Solran, or Atlas Copco air compressor, and we can give some estimate, do the monitoring, and we can also provide a certificate accordingly to the ISO system, the local authority, and have those credit for carbon tax, for example. So we have the knowledge about seal compatibility, energy measurement, and question now. There's only 5 minutes. I'm available for you. Hello?
Sorry. Hi, Jonathan. I have not received any chat, so I propose to wait 1-2 more minutes, and then I'll end the session. Is that okay for you?
Of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Nicoletta, yeah, Varnasolve can be used in turbine, yeah, steam turbine or gas turbine. We actually clean 3 solar turbine in Malaysia, and they were extremely dirty. And we used the Varnasolve in a 20%, and we were monitoring every single day. It was not causing any even that 20% nowhere was observed, and the tree turbine was completely clean. And this customer was so satisfied that they are planning now to move ahead and clean 6 other turbine. The always depend. We would like to have a sample sent to us. Most likely you can run between 5 and 20%, depending. But in the average, I would recommend 10%. Medium dirty, I would say 10% is the best. So I would suggest you drain 10% of the oil, replace for 3 days, 2 to 3 days.
Okay. Thank you, Nicoletta. Thank you, Jonathan, for your time and for your interesting session. I will now end the stream. Okay, I'll show one more remark. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your time. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.